Welcome to the B2B Growth Blueprint Podcast, where we talk with entrepreneurs, founders, and leaders at B2B services, tech, and SaaS companies to learn the systems and processes they've used to create success for their business. We'll also learn from marketing and sales experts to provide insights to help you grow your business. I'm your host, Mark Osborne, and the podcast is brought to you by Modern Revenue Strategies and their 10x ROI B2B Growth Guarantee. Schedule a free diagnostic call to learn the fastest path to double your B2B revenues in just 90 days. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the B2B Growth Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Osborne, and today I'm very excited to welcome two different guests, but both with a similar background and a connection to each other. We've got Greg Toler and Peter Engleman. Now I'm going to read their bios to make sure I get them right between the two of them. Greg brings nearly a decade of experience in consulting and in-house marketing, specializing in growth strategies, process optimization, and framework development. His marketing work focuses on refining go-to-market targeting strategies to help businesses drive growth. Greg has developed scalable systems that improve operational efficiency and deliver measurable results. And then Peter is a SaaS executive with nearly 15 years of go-to-market experience in sales, partnerships, and business development. He spent his time working across the spectrum of company sizes and has founded companies, worked in venture capital, helping SaaS companies in their go-to-market efforts, led growth stage scale-ups, as well as turnaround efforts. So Peter, Greg, I'm super excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you.
So obviously there's a little bit of a story as to why the two of you are on together. And as we've been sort of talking about, you have sort of an interesting story of kind of how you met and then sort of the roles that you worked on together. And that aligns very well with the types of things we talk about here on the show. So kind of tell us the story, tag team in a little bit. Tell us like how you guys met and how you sort of got to where you are today.
Yeah, happy to. Greg and I actually initially crossed paths 2 companies ago, but we didn't work that closely together. I was leading strategy and corporate development at a large marketing technology company. Greg was in the marketing department. And ultimately, I left, followed my manager to a turnaround at a large SaaS company, Series D SaaS company. Was recruited over there to lead partnerships, BD kind of strategy. Ultimately, took over sales over time, and Greg was recruited over there as well. So we briefly crossed paths prior to the turnaround, and then we worked very much hand in hand, sales and marketing, kind of traditionally combative groups, but we were able to kind of kumbaya and work well together over there.
Gotcha. And what about, sort of the sales and marketing was attractive to you, Peter, that had you sort of moved from partnerships into more of a sales and marketing role? I'm curious about that sort of shift from strategy into more of the marketing.
Great question. To be clear, Greg is the marketing expert. I was more on the sales side. So I joined. I've led sales teams in smaller capacities in the past, and as it goes at a turnaround or just a fast-paced kind of tech company in general, you wear multiple hats. So started off by kind of leading ecosystem development, partnerships, all that kind of stuff. Naturally touches sales. And there was an opportunity to take over as interim head of sales. And then that turned into longer than interim and became more permanent head of sales. We were building the business and doing all the things we needed to do to get it to a successful exit.
That's great. And so Greg is the self-identified, or I guess Peter identified you as the marketing expert. Tell us your story of kind of how you got started in marketing and then how you found yourself in this turnaround environment that Peter alluded to.
Yeah, absolutely. So as most people do, or some people do in their industries, they kind of fall into things. When I was in college at the time, getting a business degree, I got an internship as a marketing analyst working in like data and market evaluation at a bank and finance company. and that rolled into a full-time job. And then kind of from there, every role continued to dive deeper and deeper into this marketing side of things. But I kind of grew up and cut my teeth on the marketing data side of things and analytics. So more of a data-based marketer rather than on the creative side of marketing, which played really well into consulting. So about 10 years ago, I started doing kind of go-to-market marketing data analysis from a consulting perspective, which dovetailed into building processes and operations, which kind of moved back into building better, more efficient marketing programs and go-to-market plays. And so kind of over the years, I've dual hat in both of those areas. And then I really like to build. I like to fix things, and I like processes. And so I kind of transitioned what I do from a consulting perspective, moving into organizations and helping build into this full-time role. And so when I got brought into the same company that Peter was in, specifically with the goal of kind of turning around the programs that were currently there, I was right up my alley. A lot of what I've been doing for the last 10 years or so, and it was a lot of fun.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So both of you in your bios and you kind of talked about this in your background, talk about go-to-market or GTM as, sort of an area of focus and expertise. And that's not the newest, but a newer phrase. And, sometimes people, get caught up in vocabulary and don't necessarily have clarity on what it means. I've come to really understand go-to-market as a collection of sort of strategies and systems within, marketing, sales, and customer success that really tie together all of the ways that you generate revenue, from acquisition to, sort of, recurring to expansion, and really has more of a holistic approach. Is that the way that the two of you would define go-to-market as a, as a definition of a collection of motions, or am I missing something there?
No, absolutely. So a lot of people see it from a siloed perspective where, marketing is doing marketing, sales is doing sales, and often customer success and the product side of the house tends to not even be a part of the conversation as it relates
Right.
to go to market, which is a pretty big misconception, as you even pointed out. But we collectively kind of see this as a holistic view of how an organization takes themselves, their brand, their product and service, both to market and to their current obtained market from a customer perspective. And so when we look at these programs, and a lot of what we did at the turnaround startup as well, is like the first thing that I always look at is, what does the current customer data look like? Who are good customers? Who provide valuable product feedback? Who has better lifetime value? Who grows that way? Because a lot of times the outbounding efforts or the sales and marketing efforts disaggregate themselves or kind of ostracize the customer base and build all of these programs on their own, and miss kind of the holistic view of, to your point, what actual go to market for an organization should look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true. Well, and as you think about, in today's kind of hyper growth environments, everyone wants that the right side hockey stick with that curve that goes up. But if you think about, sort of, if you just focus on acquisition, the same amount every year has a declining growth rate, and it just has sort of the straight linear line. Even if you're growing at the same rate, it's really by only by compounding that recurring revenue and that expansion revenue that you get that real exponential curve that everyone's chasing. And you just can't expect to do that if you're leaving customer success out in the cold, if you're not thinking about after that initial sale.
Yeah, most organizations really focus on pivoting with the market on the front end, and often forget kind of insulating the current business that they had. And I think we saw this a couple of years ago when VC money dried up, when capital markets got tough, right? And
Yep.
not only were you unable to grow at the rate that most organizations historically were growing, but you were also churning largely at the same rate and slightly higher than you were before, really showing that most products are disconnected to their current customer base and what actually provides value to a customer. And
Right.
so not only could they not insulate their current business, but they also weren't growing. And so we saw so many companies taking a hit and realizing that hockey stick motion is largely built from the foundation, making sure there's real product market fit first, and establishing a solid go-to-market to other customers that look like your current base that's got proven fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
leader?
This was also a massive unlock for us kind of in that turnaround journey. I would say there were two kind of crucible moments, if you will. One was figuring out who is the actual ideal customer profile. Like what are the attributes of your best customers, for a couple of reasons. One, there's only so many dollars you could spend on marketing and so many accounts that sales can pursue. But number two, who are the customers that have a high LTV, right? Like in the spirit of wanting to grow accounts and reduce churn, you need to find those that are going to be not only good customers, but good evangelists. So the first kind of big moment that we had was figuring out where do we want to focus the business from a new business perspective? Where do we want to run the account-based programs on the marketing side? Where do we want the BDRs to target? And where do we want the target accounts for the sales reps? The other side was on that growth. A big part of the business was growing the existing customer base. Disproportionately massive, I would say, where we were compared to kind of the traditional VC business. And based on that insight, we were able to formalize programs, account-based programs, to build that book of business. And that ties back, Mark, to what you said. That was a joint effort between partnerships, sales, marketing, customer success, business development reps in a unified motion to not only surprise and delight the customer, but then give them more opportunities to see value and grow with the company. So I would say those were kind of the two core pillars that helped us grow in a business that historically or previously was losing customers overall.
So you hit on one of the first ones there that I want to unpack a little bit with you, because I think you've got some really great insight to share, which is this idea of really understanding your ICP, your ideal customer profile. Talk to us a little bit about, maybe some of the activities that you did, or the tools that you used, or the motions that you did, sort of, refine that, because a lot of companies think, I know my ideal customer, they're this, and this, and maybe they rattle off some firmographic things, or, some names of some companies. But I suspect that if you really uncovered some powerful insights, you did a little more than that. Talk to us a little bit about what you did.
Yeah, this goes. I've had a lot of experience with this, even prior to the turnaround, both on the VC side, starting a company and having no idea who my target customer was. I've seen it time and time again, and there's a few areas that you hit on that I think we should kind of click into.
Yeah.
Number one, I think the uncomfortable truth is that most people have no idea what their ICP really is. Like it is a total joke. They say, yeah, but Fortune 500 in the US.
Right. Yeah.
ICP. That means you have no ICP. So I think the biggest opportunity for the market is to kind of step back and really assess, do you know what your ICP really is at a granular level? And also, when's the last time you evaluated that? Because markets aren't static, your competitors aren't static, your customers aren't static, and your business isn't static. So your ICP should not be static. So these ICPs are done wrong quite frequently, and then they just collect dust. So that's like the broad strokes kind of controversial statement that I'll make today. The other part is the creation of ICP, and this is kind of where Greg and I bonded at our previous company, is the difficulty of actually building a smart data-backed ICP. And this is where Greg's experience comes in. I've been places where the CEO says, I think the market's going this direction. Our ICP should be X. That's not an ICP. That's right. That's a gut decision. That's a hope. Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's potentially influenced by the board, or you write a LinkedIn post, or you just are hoping to zig when the market zags. It's being cute. So, historically, it is Excel spreadsheets, manual data process. It is a little bit of guess, iterate, test, kind of that back and forth that takes countless cycles. With the advent of LLMs, we see folks starting to say, I'll just throw my customer base in AI and they'll tell me my ICP. But there's a lot of nuance, a lot of considerations that make that kind of a false hope. So that's actually why we created BoostIdeal, is because foundationally for a go-to-market strategy, you need to have a data-backed ideal customer profile that is inherently dynamic. We've kind of coined the term of a dynamic ICP, one that evolves with your business and the markets and helps you refine your targeting strategy, which then has implications for marketing, for sales, for customer success. Greg, I'll let you add on, since you are kind of the maestro on all things ICP.
No, yeah, I'm happy to jump in. The genesis of kind of Peter's and my conversation, like he was referencing with us bonding over it, was having seen that gap so many times. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but a lot of times it tends to start with who your current customer profile looks like, and then adapting from there. And so many times it's either opinion based, or it's AI black box telling you who sales sold to last quarter, and that is now your ICP in new direction. So what we used to do, and what we did as a part of this turnaround, was kind of go through that analysis process to identify, what does your current customer base look like? Where is their proven success, consistent success, product market fit? Starting there as what I would define as kind of an initial ICP, or a target customer profile to go build off of. And then the biggest gap that people tend to miss is conflating what is proven market fit with opinion market fit, and who they want to go after. And so it's really, when we develop a lot of these strategies, is what we did at the turnaround, is let's target a proven market first for growth, because there's always one, unless you're in a pre-ideal customer profile phase of business, which is all testing, right? But let's go after a customer base you see traction for, and then identify what is emerging that you can target. What are additional profiles that look similar to your current base, and then go from there. And then ultimately, how are you tracking that? How are you iterating? How are you seeing what's working? Which, to Peter's point, is a lot of where BoostIdeal steps in, helping not just kind of identify where you are, but over time, what's changing with your customer base, what's changing with your open deals that can impact where you go from an emerging perspective.
Yeah, like such an important step, but which, as both of you called out, is so often missed. And
Yeah.
it's actually, you can bring a lot of sophistication to it, but you don't have to, sort of over engineer it. You can do something very simple, like rank all of your clients from the last 2 years by the revenue that they generated for you, sort it by that, do a percentage of total, look at the kind of the iron law of the 80-20 rule is about 20% of your customers are going to wind up making up about 80% of your revenues. Just sorting it and having that picture starts to give such a better understanding of who your real customer is, not who you want it to be, or who you spend most of your time with, which oftentimes is not those companies that make up most of your revenues.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we see companies forget to do a lot too is, so even if they've done that, okay, well, now we've got a tighter, sort of definition from a firmographic standpoint. It's not just Fortune 500 in the US, but they fail to look at what's the context that company was operating in, that drove them to market, that made our solution, out of all the ones out there, the right solution for them. Because it's once you find that it really unlocks that sort of messaging that really magnetically attracts the right customers to you, and also magnetically repels the wrong ones.
Yeah, right. And it's a lot broader than, and we joked about it a couple of times already, but it's not just Fortune 500 in the US, right? Like the basic firmographic foundation of a business. And there are naturally things about a business that make them a better fit or not a better fit from a firmographic perspective. So not to dismiss that. The way that we look at it is in 4 or 5 categories. Firmographics being a basic criterion, technographics, internal qualifiers, market signals, and then historic engagement with you as a business. So we kind of build this module around what it looks like, and it really breaks into 3 types of models that we tend to create for our customers. The first is a basic fit criterion. This is what most people would consider as their their ICP. It's general, either static or slowly changing data points about a particular company. Then there's a level of engagement that make them a better fit from a timing perspective. And then to your point, those in-market contextual things that make them a better fit now, not just because they know who you are and they're engaging with you or have historically, but because of what's happening in their business now that makes their need or their motivation for a solution like yours better fit now as well. So we like to break it up into those three areas to have a more holistic view of what a customer profile should be.
So I'm starting to get a picture here that the two of you met in this kind of turnaround scenario, gelled over and connected over the importance of identifying really who the ideal customer is, which then serves as the strategy for your go-to-market motions. And you sort of realized we can actually make this process easier, better for other folks like us who are tackling the same thing. And that was the genesis of BoostIdeal. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Peter has seen it from the top down so many times, specific in the VC world and investment, where they're trying to figure out who has a really good handle on their customer base and their go-to-market motions. I've kind of seen it bottoms up with the consulting side of the world, where I'm moving into an organization that's really struggling to find those things. And a lot of times in both scenarios, to Peter's point earlier, it tends to start in a spreadsheet. Or start in some sort of Google sheet or document somewhere, even a Word doc where everybody starts to write down things. And so what we have created from BoostIdeal is a tech-enabled way to get to that information faster, but then also to use it for ongoing measurement and optimization in the future as well. So being able to use it for planning and account planning, to be able to track your customer base, to really see the back end of what's actually giving value, and then use that same information to inform the front end of go-to-market as well. And so that exactly is the genesis of BoostIdeal and what we're trying to solve. Where we think that we've got a lot of really good traction recently. Peter, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would just add that the benefits are both tactical and strategic. So there's, the time savings and like removing the hassle of the operations of creating your ICP. There's the strategic side of, let's move beyond just fit data. Let's take in some market signals. Let's understand beyond the who, but the why, for timing to be right, what messaging would resonate, that sort of thing. And then if you zoom out even more, we kind of kicked off this conversation with it, joking about the lack of sales and marketing alignment that I think plagues many organizations. I don't think it starts as a cultural issue. Oftentimes it's like, hey, the CRO hates the CMO. Yeah, maybe. But I think it starts as more of a strategic or a systems issue. Why do they hate each other? Well, because sales isn't getting enough leads, or sales isn't following up with the leads. But that just the underbelly of that issue is a lack of trust of what one another is actually doing, and a misalignment on what does good look like. And all of that comes back to your ideal customer, right? Lead scoring, account scoring, territory plans, account-based programs. All of that comes from a core understanding of who should you target, when should you target them, and how should you target them. And when you have that unified vision across sales and marketing, it cuts the BS. There'll always be, headaches between the two groups. We're humans. But it removes a lot of the mistrust. And there's what we're trying to bring is transparency into scoring at a very tactical level. But what that then creates is trust into how one another are looking at the business and where they're going from a go-to-market perspective.
Yeah, we see so often that when you align marketing, sales, and customer success on, sort of fundamental things like who is our customer, what makes a good lead. If everyone can agree on what makes a good lead, well, then marketing is chasing the right folks and sales is aggressively following up with them because they're both excited about it, instead of this friction that comes when marketing's hitting a quota of leads regardless of quality, and sales is griping about, sort of their lack of fit with who's actually potentially likely to buy.
Yeah.
And bringing that together is such a hinge that brings the entire organization together. And not only that, not to forget customer success. If
Right.
if marketing's chasing leads that sales can never close, sales is closing deals by making promises that can never be delivered, then customer success is stuck over here trying to, plug up a leaky bucket, which
Yeah.
can never create that hockey stick curve. You're just going to grow as much as you can arm twist people into signing a new deal.
Yeah. Well, it's that horizontal view, right? Is something that we're trying to, not trying to, or we are solving in the way that we've built things to be able to track across all of them, right? So that there's real-time feedback to the front end of go-to-market with sales and marketing on what's actually working. And then even beyond that, we have use cases with some customers that product is using the customer data to prioritize feature requests or prioritize what to build, because then they can see, okay, well, of these 10 feature requests that came in the last week, when they do their weekly stand up and prioritization, it's like, okay, well, 3 of them came from higher tiered, higher priority customers that have a longer tail with us, are more valuable. So it's even informing that, which then informs what we're taking to market, and we know that it's resonating with the right customers and right prospective customers as well. So really tying all of those departments together in a way that creates a holistic view so that they're all moving the same direction. We're all tracking the same data, but then also can all pivot together too. As soon as one org is seeing a shift in what's working and what isn't, the rest can adapt to that as well.
Yeah. And to add on to that quickly, we have customers. We seldom to never start with customer success as initial conversation, but we frequently see them brought in. And Mark, you reminded me of this. Yes, they're often left holding the bag. Therefore, you should have better customers that aren't going to churn. However, think about it: fit, engagement, and market signals, market research. All of a sudden, you're able to understand, is engagement going down? Maybe the financial report shows a financial loss, or there's been a layoff at that company. Well, oh shoot, maybe that's churn risk. Maybe we should go ahead and get involved there earlier. So you're able to understand, well, maybe they weren't a great fit.
Right.
Engagement's going down and there's some pretty bad news about them. Let's think about a play to make sure they're satisfied, to make sure that they're not going to churn at the end of that contract. So yeah, CS is something that we're seeing more and more as a benefactor of BoostIdeal. And then going back to kind of the strategic importance of the ICP, I've been part of conversations on the venture capital side to, as Greg mentioned earlier, does this company know their ICP? Do they have the go-to-market engine figured out? Is the flywheel going? And a lot of that comes to the ICP. I've also been in conversations in the M&A setting where we're getting acquired and the acquiring firm asks about our ICP and what gives us conviction about the ICP and how that has synergies with their ICP. So I know this is all about go-to-market, but then it starts to permeate to corp dev, strategy, CEO level conversations, because obviously you want go-to-market to work well. That gives you revenue growth. But also, if you find yourselves in an M&A conversation, whether being acquired or acquiring a company, that ICP needs to be a North Star to understand if there will be synergies when the two companies come together.
Yeah. Hey, so many good points there. And obviously, we're all really passionate about the strategic importance of alignment around who that customer is. All marketing starts with the market, and that ideal customer profile is sort of that first stab at that. But I got to be mindful of your time. But before I let you go, we've talked around it a bit, but why don't you give us the pitch? Like, tell us really what BoostIdeal does, who your ideal customer is, and the benefits that they get from working with you.
Nice, cool. Well, BoostIdeal is what we call full funnel scoring engine. So we create and help people identify, define, and track and measure their ideal customer profiles across the full funnel or full cycle of a customer journey. So With that, we get to, I'm nervous. Sorry. Hopefully we can edit this out.
For sure.
Let me start that again. I don't know why I got nervous there for a second. Cool.
So
Sorry
take
about
it as, tell us about BoostIdeal and sort of who your ideal customer is,
Yeah.
and the benefits that they get from working with you.
Awesome. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I'd love
Okay,
to
cool.
tap
Mark,
you in. I don't know why I got nervous.
Yep. Mark, do you want to prompt the question so we could edit
Sure.
with that? All right, great.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about BoostIdeal, like who your ideal customer is and what the benefits are they get from working with you.
Yeah, happy to. So BoostIdeal is a software platform. We hit on a few terms earlier. The ethos of BoostIdeal is creating a dynamic ICP. What that looks like in practice is a full funnel scoring platform where we're able to uncover what your ideal customer looks like from fit, so firmographics, technographics, that sort of thing, to engagement, meetings, how often they're clicking on your website, product adoption, those types of metrics, and then market signals and market research. So all of this creates the opportunity to have smarter dynamic scoring around a dynamic ICP through the customer journey. So they come in as a lead. Let's understand the context of the company and the person. They start going through the sales funnel, and we want to understand who our target accounts look like. How do we do territory planning? How do we run targeted account-based programs? There's a unified view on who and why we approach those specific accounts. And then even on, as we talked about, the customer success side, after they've signed the contract, let's understand, as the business evolves, as markets evolve, as customers evolve, are they still a good fit, and are there certain plays we can run to not only retain them but grow with them? So the TLDR is we're trying to put ICP at the focus of go-to-market, and what that looks like is dynamic scoring across the entire customer journey.
Fantastic. And so for folks that are listening and saying, yeah, that resonates with me, that makes sense that would be the sort of linchpin for a strategic and successful go-to-market strategy. How do they get in touch?
You could reach out to Greg at BoostIdeal or Peter at BoostIdeal.com. Go to BoostIdeal.com and check out what we have. I did not answer who our ideal customer profile is. It is not just Fortune 500s in the US. Actually, we're anchoring towards the growth companies. So okay. I would say companies that do not have large marketing organizations and RevOps organizations, but they're looking to bring enterprise grade scoring at a price point that is both digestible and a platform that is easy to use to kind of transform how they go to market. So if you're in marketing, operations, sales, reach out to us and let's have a conversation about how we can find your ICP, your target account list, and help grow your business.
Fantastic. Well, Peter, Greg, thank you both so much for making the time to join me today.
You got it. Thank you, Mark.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for joining this episode of the B2B Growth Blueprint Podcast. We hope you've gained insights to grow your business. If you enjoyed this discussion, please rate, comment, like on your favorite platform, and share to others who will find it useful. Do you know a CEO, founder, or leader at an early stage B2B services, tech, or SaaS company who would like to be a guest and share their story? Send us a note. Let's schedule a conversation.